I will encourage Bernadette now to share her part with us.
Thank you, Fiona. Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome again to our meeting. It's good to have each and every one of you logged on with us. My role this afternoon is one of encouragement. Fiona did introduce me, Bernadette Francis, one of the founding members of the association, but I'm also a past homeschooling family. Our family began homeschooling 20 years ago when we had 2 children, one of school age, one would have been 6 years old, and we went on to have 5 children, all of whom we homeschooled. We're having somebody with their mic on giving some feedback here. Yes, so all of which we homeschooled. And I've learned a lot along the way, and I've had to learn those lessons in the school of hard knocks, as they will say, because there were not many that went before me. So you lived and you learned. And there are just a few things that I would want to encourage each of you as homeschooling families today with. The first of all is, the first one would be that you are enough. You are the person that God has placed to give oversight to the precious little ones that He has given to you. You are uniquely gifted. You're not like me. You're not like Fiona. You are like you. And so I would say to you to be the best you that you can be. You are uniquely gifted. You are uniquely talented. And bring that to bear on your homeschooling career. Understand for your family what is most important to you. And for our family, it was raising children with a strong moral foundation, children of good character. And so that really, while we did focus and study academic work, a big part of our homeschool time and our homeschool interaction was on training good character, positive character qualities into our children. I would encourage you to be kind. Be kind to yourself, first of all. Don't expect more than you can give. And be kind to your children. The same way that you want grace extended to yourself, extend it to your partner, extend it to your children. Listen to them, give them another chance, because don't we all want that when we mess up or when we don't do what is called good enough? One of my giftings is talking, interacting, chatting, sharing. And I remember as a young homeschooler trying to recreate school at home and learning the hard way that that is not what homeschooling was about. And realizing that if I spent a little more time connecting with my children and leading them along a path of learning rather than trying to teach them or just give them information to have them recall it, that it just was the better way. And so if older me could have spoken to younger me way back when I started, I would have said to myself, Bernadette, discover Socratic questioning. You know, instead of just giving your children information, loads and loads of it, ask them questions and, you know, give them choice answers. Is it this? Do you think it's this or that? And allow them to think. And as you do that, you're really from a very tender age teaching critical thinking. It's the beginning of it. And in today's world where things are changing so rapidly, the certificates that we get at the end of our educational career I don't want to say it doesn't count very much, but I don't think it does to really help, let's say, an employee solve problems as they come up. Employers nowadays are not just looking for people who are certified, they're looking for people who can solve a problem. And so as you teach from that perspective, you raise a problem solver, and problem solvers are in high demand in any field of endeavor. Something else I would want to encourage you with is to be helpful. We are going through a time unprecedented in the last year and maybe a half with the COVID-19 pandemic. Help someone. You know, it's a time for many families when our resources are very, very limited. And while some kinds of resources are limited, you know, those of us whose financial resources may be stretched, we are the ones who may have a little more time. And so let's invest, or let's spend that time wisely. We may not have the ability to buy the things for our children, but we certainly now may have the time to sit and talk, to sit and ask a question, to sit and really check in and have conversations to find out what's going on in the heart of our little ones, what's happening with them. Ask the question one-on-one and listen to hear what's being said. And the answers may not come when you're having that serious sit-down conversation. It may come when you're horsing around, when you take time to laugh, when you make your home a place of joyfulness, when you make your home a place of peace, as much as is humanly possible given the circumstances. And my last thought that I would want to leave with you is to remember that children thrive on routine. We all have a body clock. The universe, the world is made of cycles. We have rainy season, dry season. We have, winter, spring, summer, fall. We have morning and evening. And our children are born into a world. Even our bodies have rhythms. As women, we have cycles. And so humans are people of rhythm. And so keep a rhythm going in your home so that your children know what to expect. They have an idea of what comes next. And when there's order in their little minds, there is more order in their behavior, and there's more order in what we as parents are looking to get from our children. And having a routine makes spontaneity all the more fun. So having a routine doesn't mean that the routine rules your house, but have an expectation of, well, school is in the morning and then chores are after lunch and then free time is maybe later in the evening, or whatever works for your family. But do ensure that, if it's pouring rain and it's a school morning and they're really distracted, there's nothing wrong with going and having a rain bath with the kids and laugh and infuse joy. And then they know that tomorrow it's not rain bath time again, but they would have had some good fun and made some memories with you, their parents. And those are all simple little tools that would make a memory, that would help you to make a connection with your children, so that as your children grow, and quickly they will grow, you're connected. And when the little issues become bigger issues, you're connected from when they were little ones. And so it's a natural flow for you to be parts of their joys now as teenagers, be parts of their sorrows. And I know that at this time when some of us have young families, it seems like we have all this time on our hands. But, I was chatting with Fiona a few days ago, and, she was even saying, she was remarking to me that when she began homeschooling, she realized she was put to work with our play group. That was the little ones who weren't yet ready maybe to do a formal arts and craft class or to get in the kitchen to cook. And her play group students are the ones that she was supporting and encouraging through their CAPE and CSEC exams this year. So time flies. Time flies. One of my children are doing CSEC this year, and he was in her play group. And that time went, we don't know where. So invest the time now so that you have a rich relationship, a rewarding relationship as your children emerge into adulthood and you launch them into life. And that there is my encouragement for you today. Thank you, guys.
Thank you so much, Bernadette. I would always say, I remember how many years ago this would be, maybe 13 or 14 years ago, when I literally ran Bernadette down. This was before I had any children. Because I knew, she had a homeschool group and I wanted to homeschool and I wanted to see what it was like, And so it's again a plug to stay connected. It was such a rich experience being part of Bernadette's group at that time and not having children and being able to work with her 3-year-old and her 5-year-old and the other 3-year-olds in the group who, as she rightly said, they're now writing CSEC. And now I have a daughter during the course of those years who will be 13 in a month's time. And who we have started homeschooling at the secondary school level. And so the time goes very quickly. And as Bernadette rightly says, one of the most important things you can do for yourself, if you have made this decision to be a homeschooling family, to know that you are enough for your children. There will be many voices that will make you think that you're not qualified and you don't know enough and you don't have this. But if you have your children, they're your children, they were sent to you. And the time that you have with them is really important because you can connect with them and you can know their likes, their dislikes, their strengths, their weaknesses, their hopes, their dreams, to see their gifts, their talents. And this really, the education system does not do this. And this is what our young people need. They need that guidance that only us as parents can give them. And that coupled with being able to teach them can be something very powerful. But it's a marathon. It is not something that happens overnight. It's not a sprint. And so sometimes we start off hot and sweaty year 1, year 2. We say, okay, that's it. It didn't work. No, it's a marathon. Sometimes it takes years, 5 years, 6 years, 8 years, 10 years. We are going on our 12th, 13th year. Bernadette did it through 5 children. But you become more confident. 20 years. When I am completed my journey, it will be about that time as well, 20 years, But it is an investment that is worth it. And so one of the reasons we're doing this session on mental health today is to help us with that, pacing ourselves, especially in a time where there are additional challenges to being an educator, but also a home educator. Mm-hmm. And to help us navigate this particular area of mental health and homeschooling families would be Jenna Samaru Graham, who is the wife of Corey Graham, right? Who is one of the leaders of one of our homeschooling groups, support groups that we've created. And so Jenna, you take it away. You should be able to share your screen whenever you're ready, right?
Okay, great. So guys, this is not a session for me to be talking alone. I have good suggestions for you all today, but I want some interaction. I want some, I am preaching to you all, I'm not no guru either, right? I've been in the field of psychology for roughly about 13 years now. And when you're homeschooling for about, how old is my son? Going to be 6 years. And my husband is really the homeschooler lead, right? Because I am on the background helping along. But since COVID has come about with all of the challenges and whatever, they're working from home or whatever the case is, we've been doing a lot of it together at this point, So today we're going to be talking about, sorry, everybody seeing this screen there. So we're going to be talking about managing mental health for us parents, and I have some tips in there for the kids as well. I am getting a little feedback somewhere. So, first of all, before we go into the typical stress responses that we have been encountering as parents, I want to hear from you all. Throw it at me. What are some of the stressful things you all experiencing? What are these stresses that you all have been going through, emotions, let's hear it. Let's start off the thing with discussion one time. What are some of the things that y'all have been going through stress-wise? Anybody?
I think, Jana, this is Nicole.
Yeah. Hi, Nicole.
Yeah, I think what I've been experiencing lately is since April, we don't have our housekeeper coming as often as she used to, because we had to obey the edicts from the Prime Minister. And so
yes.
I'm finding myself very, very busy with housework and a little bit less able to manage the children. I have 3 children, ages 6, 4, and 2, and I'm less able to manage everything. So I have had to really do some introspection and sort of just recognize what I can do and what I cannot do, and also be very gentle with the children as well, because they have to adjust a little bit to maybe mommy doing more housework than before, being a little less available at times. And so I realized that I have to, you know, cater to that as well, and be very gentle with them. I've
Yeah, for
started
sure.
I've started giving myself to be permission to be interrupted if I'm doing something and the children need me. I've started stopping immediately and attending to them and just accepting that whatever it was I was doing is going to take more time.
Yeah, yeah. So excellent. So if we've been bogged down with or having house chores to do, multiple children to take care of. So we're looking at the stress responses that all of us have been going through during this pandemic. We have an array of emotions and feelings that's been coming up that some of us don't normally feel as regular. These feelings come up, we're human, but some of them coming up more regularly now due to the pandemic. The fear, anger, sadness, worrying, that comes up a lot. Frustration. Some of the responses that we may have too is loss of appetite or changes in appetite, overeating, undereating, energy, changes in interest, difficulty concentrating, making decisions, even focusing on work on a day-to-day basis. With all of this, I myself, have challenges sometimes having to wake up early in the morning to get like 2 hours in before the day actually gets started, because that's the only time I actually have to do the concentration or concentrated work that I need to do. Definitely people have been experiencing sleeping, nightmares, especially when we worrying all the time about issues concerning the pandemic. We have actual physical reactions. Now let me hear y'all have been having some aches and pains, guys, a little bit more than usual. Let me hear y'all. Anybody? Any aches and pains that people have been experiencing?
Yes, I have been one of those.
Yeah.
Because, I don't have an ergonomic chair in my house. Your house is not set up as an office.
For sure.
Neither am I going to set up my entire house as an office. And it's my husband and I, we both work at home, So I do have a bit of a space, but it's still not the same space as my office space would have been. And so, yes, sometimes my back feels achy, my neck feels achy. One side of me feels more achy than another. The other day, I was like, oh my goodness, is this a stroke I'm having? Because my neck was hurting so much,
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah. So that's what we having headaches, we having body pain, stomach aches, rashes, all kinds of different things happening in our bodies, that we have to kind of now try to be in tune with, because that is our some of the responses that we have into stress. And let me touch a little bit on the emotions. What are some of the emotions that we feeling that seem to be heightened during this time? Anybody? Any of those kind of negative emotions kind of popping up a little bit more?
Hi, this is Kino here. Yes, so some of I noticed of lately, well, quick little background is that after coming out from maternity leave, I had a little health scare and stuff like that where I wasn't well. I was in the ICU in the hospital for some while, and I'm home recuperating, but I still have other issues that keeps coming up. But what I realized is that with the pandemic and everything like that, and the frustration, with the kids, not really having a structure, even though they have school, I tend to feel like kind of helpless. I feel frustrated. I feel anxious, and I feel like my patience is really short because I know how things supposed to be done. I knew how it was before, where they had a structure, they're going to school, they're learning the work. I know that when they come home, they have homework to do, and stuff like that. But now with the pandemic, even before I fell sick, you know, working from home and trying to monitor the kids and stuff like that, it tends to be overwhelming. So after a while, I feel like, you know, my life is just going out of control. Sometimes I feel I might snap out at my husband because I find that, you know, he's not doing enough or he's not doing it the way how I wanted to, because I'm just trying to get order, like to just pull all the pieces together and hold it there. So that was the problem I was having and still having now, even today, because I have 4 kids. Their ages are 10, 8, 5, and 4 months. And I just feel like, you know, they are going their own way. You know, they're not listening, they're influencing each other. And I just feel like my world just spiraling out of control. And I'm trying to find ways on how to get my world back together.
Right. Okay. Well, hopefully today I will be able to offer you guys some techniques, because today we're going to talk a lot about techniques. So we're just going through some of these responses a little bit to get your feedback. We also experience, you know, worsening chronic health issues. So, you know, you have your little hypertension, diabetes, or whatever issues, health issues you have, and then you find that during this pandemic has been getting a lot worse, you know. Mental health, this is why we're here today. You know, all of our mental health have been affected. And a little bit later on, we'll go into introverts and extroverts, because I think extroverts feeling it's really hard, this wrongs, in terms of, you know, being inside all the time. And then we find, you know, the real unhealthy habits where we, you know, we increase the use of, you know, alcohol, tobacco and other substances, which which also is quite unhealthy and is a sign that we're going through a stressful time. You know, so one of the things I want to point out today is that we need to be mindful, or we need to pay attention that we have that stress response, that those stress responses, and to be aware of them, right? And one of the things coming out of this is we have to monitor it. We have to monitor the anxiety that we feel. We have to know that, you know, our body is telling us that we're being stressed out. You know, we're sweating, our heart's racing, you know, you're feeling worried and dreadful. You know, those kinds of things are signs, and that we have to recognize that within ourselves and with our bodies. And that's why I was kind of focusing a little bit on your body's responses, because a lot of times stuff going on with us in our bodies and we're not paying attention, and that's sometimes the first key to identifying that we're stressing out. And normally we would think that our head will tell us, or emotions will tell us that we're feeling stressed out, but it's actually not so. Our bodies are the first signs of that stress. When we start to feel, you know, when we start to feel that headache, when we start to feel that tension, neck pain, when we start to sweat, when the heart starts to, you know, to beat really fast, those physical responses are sometimes the indicators that we're stressing out. And those sometimes come first before we actually recognize the mental part of it, you know, and sometimes paying attention to that and actually taking a break at that point is really helpful in managing the stress. So monitoring your body's responses. We feel irritable, you know, we feel tired, you know, and for me, sometimes when it is I'm stressed out, I definitely do feel the tiredness aspect of it. And then we're going into the introverts versus extroverts, you know. So all of us feel the stress responses or feel the stressors the same way. We feel the irritability, the lack of sleep, the tiredness, and so on. What happens is that our extroverts are able to say, listen, I am not feeling well today. I have a headache today. I'm feeling anxious today. And they're able to verbalize that. But our introverts, hello, does somebody have their thing on? Okay, so our introverts tend to keep it in and not reach out to the family, not reach out to the people around them and say, listen, I'm feeling anxious. I need a moment. Especially sometimes if it is in a house where it is you have many extroverts around, and you may be the one of the few or the only introverts. And then you feel like if you can't say it to people, like, listen, I just need a moment, I'm not, you know, or you're not able to find the words to say. And it's really important for us to, at this point, have really good communication and really try to explain, because then we won't be able to get the support that we need. When it is we don't communicate with our loved ones, when we don't say, listen, I need a timeout, I am feeling stressed out. I have a headache. I just need to sleep for a bit. I just need an hour in my room, that kind of thing. And that's okay. All right. We need to communicate and reach out for the types of support that we need from our family. Then we have, we wanting to do everything. We're not recognizing that on a normal day, we have limitations, and now with COVID, there is even more limitations, right? And we need to recognize sometimes with weekend, balancing work, balancing housework, balancing school, and everything else that we really can't get it all done. And we need to prioritize, and we need to recognize and really see those limits in our daily lives, so that we're able to ask for help or prioritize and say, okay, well, we're not sweeping up the house today. We will try to do it tomorrow. I know my husband, they're laughing at me for that one, because always with a broom sweeping somewhere, right? So, we have to prioritize and know our limitations and know that we can't get it all done in a day, and that we need to recognize and what we can do on a given day, and do that, and maybe leave some for the next day. And, just we want to complete everything. And then we feel that sense of overwhelm, and the overwhelmed feeling causes us to have problems sleeping, and causes us to be anxious and so on. So monitoring and being self-aware of our stress responses are very, very important. Yeah. So I think that Bernadette did a little psychology with me there, boy, because this is the first thing when we are talking about it. Yeah. I was saying setting up a routine, that's very important, right? And we want to set up a routine that's flexible yet consistent, a daily routine. We want to keep certain things the same with our kids. And as Bernadette was saying, our kids have their routines that they had from school if they were going to school, or they just have their daily routines. And we want to keep those things the same. We want to have wake up the same, bedtimes the same. We want to have different routines like bath time, nighttime routines. Because when kids don't get enough sleep, it could be a real challenge, and they can be really irritable to work with during the day. And I myself, if I don't get enough sleep, I am irritable, and I know it, And with routine, we want to, put up the routine on the walls. I would have done that with my son, so these, when you wake up, these are the chores that you're going to do today. We having breakfast, whatever your routine is in your household, understanding that there will be flexibility and there will be curveballs, but the child knows what to expect. The family, not only the child, you yourself know what to expect when we wake up, this is how it's going to go. Plan structured activities, but also allow for free time, so you want to say that when you wake up, you brush your teeth, you have breakfast, you play, you do schoolwork, you do some chores, bedtime, whatever it is, that you have little snippets of time for the day, where it is you have the different activities and you have it stuck up somewhere, you do it together. It's important to have the child help in the creation of the schedule. I know my son was really excited about it when we did it for him, because I had him, after I wrote it out, we decorated it together, and definitely he enjoyed the process of planning what the day would look like, obviously guided by us as the parents. But just the fact that he could have said, well, after school time, I want to do this. I want to have playtime, or I want to have TV time, that he was able to incorporate and be excited about the routine, and making sure that we stuck to it. Because, at the beginning, when we first started doing the routines and put it on the walls, he was like, we didn't do this and we didn't do that, and even in the morning when he gets up, there's a little checklist of, vitamins, feed the fish, whatever. And he's just like, he goes and he reads it and he just said, okay, I didn't feed the fish, and go and feed the fish, So those things are really, really important. And little things like that really help us get our day going, right? And it's important to include physical activity, guys. It really is helpful with stress and managing of stress. And we will get into that a little bit more when we go into some techniques. Right, but getting physical activity in there, there's a whole bunch of activities that you could do in your house. You don't have to have fancy equipment. And I know it's challenging for some of us, like one of the things that we used to enjoy as a family a lot is going by the savannas or parks or whatever the case is, and taking a walk and riding bicycles. And so all of that now cut down, and you have to find creative ways. So, you know, we end up doing, you know, dance parties at home, you know, finding YouTube videos at home. And I remember a time my husband put on like this fun little YouTube video and with jumping jacks and or whatever, or a whole set of exercises. And mommy sitting down and they're like, "Mommy, what are you doing? Get up, you know." So you two getting involved in the family aspect of moving really helps and make it fun and interactive. You know, use your media. We have to rely on it heavily these days. So we're using the videos. You know, we having a dance party. We just trying to be creative as possible. One of the things my husband and my son do, or like I got roped into it too yesterday, is that we have we recycle plastic bottles and they play bowling. So that's a form of physical activity, you know, throwing the ball, you know, let the balls fall down, whatever the case is. So those are some little ways that you could get physical at home, and you could talk to each other and see how best to be creative, right? One of the things we want to look at is mindfulness now, and we want to take a look at self-care, right? And we can't be productive for our kids if it is we're not taking care of ourselves, you know. And before I get into this slide in great detail or discuss it in any length, what are we doing for self-care, guys? Are we self-caring? Let me hear y'all. Are we taking some time to care for ourselves, taking a break, taking a moment to do something we like? What are we doing? Guys, we self-caring? We doing anything that we like to do?
Yes, hi.
Yeah, hi.
Hi, I'm Shamila. I'm a homeschooler.
Yeah.
I've been home this September. I've been homeschooling. We'll be homeschooling for 3 years. Hi Fiona. Hi Miss Bernadette. I don't know if you all can see me here. It's a little dark. All right. Hi. For me, for self-care, now I'm an up-and-coming artist. So I tend to use my art as a means of self-care. Also on Sundays, I just don't do anything. I just spread a clothes and lie on the ground and relax, because grounding is important. Earthing, I know people familiar with that.
Yeah.
And I tend to I'm an avid Pinterester. So Pinterest have a lot of self-care and inner child healing and work and things like that. So I use those techniques that I learned there. And I tend to share with friends and family as well when possible. Because I think that self-care is important, because I mean, you can't pour from an empty cup. And if you keep giving all the time, then you're depleted and you can't do anything for anybody, including yourself. You know? And
Very
I also
good, yeah.
I also like gardening as well. So I have like a little forest happening in the backyard and part in the front. I do I like to work with my hands. So I'm very crafty. So I have like build up little bamboo and coconut palm roofing and, you know, house the plants and things under that. And I mean, and I have a cat. So animal care is also another thing.
Yeah.
So if you have like you can buy like a little bunny for those of you who have the space, and you know, because and if you can, and I like to hike as well. I normally will be up in Chancellor Hill, going beyond Chancellor into the mountains and things like that. And since I can't do that now, I, you know, more into the garden, more into the art, because I mean, your mental health is important. And if you don't find means of, you know, taking care of your mental health, then you can't help anybody else.
Exactly. You know,
so if it's one thing I learned from COVID is that it's a reset. A lot of people see that as something negative, but for me, I think it's a reset. It causes us to die long a little bit and, you know, do some inner work, you know, and, you know, do self-analyzing and asking yourself deep questions and really trying to be a better version of yourself before COVID. So after we get through this, we are able to not only help ourselves, but to, you know, be a way shower for others. I don't know if that making sense.
Oh, for sure.
Right?
For sure.
So that's how I roll.
So I saw some people also mention gardening and planting. So I myself have become a plant lady. I have plants all inside,
Nature's
all in
one of the great healers.
Yeah. So I have a herb garden in the back. I have my seasoning, right? So yeah, self-care is crucial and critical at this time. You know, I see somebody else saying drinking coffee on the back porch, you know, planting, gardening. I myself, as I say, have been doing gardening. Taking care of yourself is critical. As my girl there said, you can't pour from an empty cup, guys.
Definitely not.
So we have to take time to self-care, right? And then we have to model self-care for our children, guys, because if we're not taking care of ourselves and trying to do impossible by trying to pour from an empty cup, we're not showing or modeling to our children the right thing to do.
Exactly.
Right? So we have to be able to self-care, right? We have to be mindful and ask yourself, how you doing? Remember, I was just talking about monitoring your stress responses and being self-aware. We have to listen to our bodies and what our bodies is telling us, you know. And one of the things that one of the techniques that I want to share with you all is called mindfulness. You know, a lot of y'all may have heard of it, may not have heard of it before, but it's basically just taking your time to be present in the moment and things that you do in your everyday life. Right, taking a few minutes in the morning before everybody wake up and take some deep breaths. You know, and when I say deep breaths, those belly breaths that if anybody ever actually went to therapy or saw a psychologist, we always recommend breathing, right? You're taking breaths from deep within your stomach and letting it out through your mouth slowly. Take a few of them. Take a few moments to gather your thoughts, you know, to be present in the moment, to calm yourself, you know, to center yourself, you know. Take time to appreciate your meals and even share those experiences with your children, you know. Sit and actually enjoy flavors, taste, and textures. Sometimes we eat in a hurry. We didn't even know what we eat, you know. And maybe some greasy KFC that didn't taste so good when we was in weekend days when those things were open, but now we're taking time to cook a little more. You know, are we enjoying, you know, the flavors of that curry chicken? Do we taste the jeera? You know, are we tasting the curry? You know, are we getting the flavors, the aromas, the textures, you know? And that is in itself practicing mindfulness, where it is we just take the moment to sit and really enjoy that space of a meal and enjoy the flavors and textures, you know. So that's one of the strategies you could use. Also, I was saying spending time outside. I too have to remember to take a walk every day. So I am not immune, guys, right? Take a walk outside, feel the sun on your face, you know. And for those who are taking up the gardening while you're outside, you're getting some gardening done, you know. But we have to go outside and spend some time outside taking a walk, you know, just getting a break from inside the house, especially in these times where it is we kind of in the house all the time. I mean, in your yard, take a walk around the house, you know, just spend a little time, you know, if you have a chair, put it outside, you know, and just chill out for a few minutes, you know, in the mornings or in the evenings or whatever the case is, but just spend a little time outside, guys. It really does wonders. Take a little sun when the sun outside, go take a walk in the sun. It does wonders for your mood, right? And guys, a lot of times as mothers, as weekend mothers, you know, we managing, you know, kids, we managing, trying to cook, we managing, trying to finish that report, and we feeling overwhelmed, but we just suppressing it, right? And we're not taking the time to actually feel the feelings. We're not actually taking the time to feel what it is we feeling in that particular moment, whether it be, you know, stressful feelings, if it's feelings of overwhelm, if it's feelings of, you know, anger, resentment, sadness, whatever the case is. Don't deny how you're feeling at a particular moment, because what happens is that it will build and build and build until an explosion happens, right? So you need to take time to actually feel those feelings that are causing you stress, or feel your feelings in the moment, right? And as I was talking before, engage in physical activities, family, Zumba, online aerobics, even exercise virtually with a friend using Zoom too, right? I have some of my friends that do that, you know. They put on a video and, you know, they do it together, whatever the case is. You know, we have to be creative in the ways that we self-care and that we try to practice mindfulness in our daily lives. So it's really important for this as a technique to use. see what's going on here. Okay. All right. So we're also looking at some other ways. So, you know, be creative. You know, creating art is a good outlet for negative feelings, for energy. Some sort of creative art. It doesn't have to be that you're this great painter, drawer, whatever. You know, just take some time even to craft, or you know, do some silly activity with your kids. You know, you know, stamp. One of the things my son likes to do a lot is paint his hands and stamp it on paper, or whatever the case is. Just take some time, you know, to find your creative energy, to find your creative space, because that really helps with centering and feeling a little bit calmer in your day-to-day activities. You know, what are some of the things that we do for entertainment, guys, at home during this COVID time now? Anybody? What are some of the things that you do to entertain yourself? Anybody does any form of entertainment at home?
Just some music videos.
Yeah.
Yeah, sometimes I do, like my boys, they love Savannah Grass and some old time calypsos, because I would have shared with them those things in the past. So sometimes they ask me to put on the YouTube video for Savannah Grass or whichever song they like. And recently I bought a CD with some of our Christian choruses, or praise choruses. And it starts off with a story of Daniel in the lion's den, and then the rest of it is these songs. And I have been shocked by the response of the children to the way they enjoy the CD. And now it has become a staple for us, either in the morning or in the afternoon. And the joy that it has, you know, enkindled in us singing the praise songs, and the wise man built his house upon the rock, and it has just been, it's so simple, but it is so powerful. Yeah.
There you go. You know, I see other people doing some art and board games, you know, so find some way every day to counteract the heaviness and the stress, you know, with something fun and lighthearted, you know. Our thing yesterday, as I told you, was, you know, playing bowling with the old bottles, the water bottles, and that kind of thing. You know, find some way. You know, meditate or focus on relaxation and deep breathing. You know, breathing really helps with stress management, and deep breathing especially. And so there's so many techniques that you could try online, because they have a lot of apps too that do guided breathing. To help, you know, calm yourself and manage your stress. And even for those of y'all who are into smartwatches, some of them now have like take a 2-minute breather and just practice breathing for 2 minutes. So all of those things are ways that you could just, you know, relax and take some deep breathing to kind of manage your stress from time to time. You know, find time every day to do something that you love and you enjoy, you know. And give yourself permission. You know, as I tell you, we're so busy doing everything that we feel bad when it is we take that time to, you know, to stress relief, to do something that makes us happy, you know. And one of my hobbies is I am into this like a planner group that does pretty planning and that kind of thing. And so sometimes I ask my husband for a little time just to, you know, to sit and just, you know, reflect and do the things that I want to do, to journal or whatever the case is, and to plan. Because that's what, you know, that's the time that I have for myself. And that's the time that I find my stress relieving and being able to see, you know, what my week is looking like and that kind of thing. And that's really important, you know, finding a new hobby or learning some way to stay stimulated intellectually, or even, you know, so some of, you know, like Nicole said, she would have taken up gardening, you know, some little thing that I've become a gardener too, planting all over the house. You know, find some little thing that you could do that is yours to that's stimulating in some way, you know. And especially for our extroverts that are having extremely hard time being inside and that kind of thing, remember to connect with family and friends, you know. We could do it virtually on videos. We could do the video chats. We could do the calls, you know, chat on the phone for a little while, you know, connect with people that you weren't able to connect with or even people that you would normally visit. Like I have some aunts and stuff that I would normally visit, on a weekend sometimes or whatever the case is, but I can't visit because of COVID and, given their age and so on. And I'm out there working as an essential worker. So, we have to call our friends, call our family and stay connected so that we will be able to, to feel that connection with other persons in some way. We can't feel it physically, but we could try to, use the phone and use the technology to make it more positive. Yeah, guys? Everybody cool so far? Yeah?
Yeah, so far so good.
Okay. So one of the other techniques that I want to share with you all today is something called a body scan. And body scans are a type of mindfulness that you could practice. And is one of the key components in mindfulness, And this exercise, you could also teach it to your children to do. So they too can, when they feel stressed out or whatever the case is, they could try to do this exercise to relax. And it's basically, you're lying down on your back on a comfortable surface, close your eyes, you're squeezing every single muscle in your body as tight as you can, right? Squishing your toes and your feet, you're squeezing your hands into fists, making your legs and your arms, really, really stiff, and you're feeling that contraction of the muscles, right? And then after a few minutes, you just letting go all of the muscles and relaxing, right? And you want to think about how your body feels during this activity. Sometimes when it is that you're starting to tighten the muscles, you actually feel certain muscles were already tight, and so that tells you the areas in the body which it is maybe was stressed out, or where stress is in your body, right? And it's just a simple exercise to kind of make you aware of your stressor points in your body, to make you find a way to be more present in the moment, and take a few moments to just relax and try to just check your body and see what's going on, and to kind of breathe and let it go, right? So this is one technique that you could use when it is you're feeling really stressed out and you just need a break and a quick moment to kind of see what's going on with you, right? So this is one thing that you could try to do. And a next thing that I want to share with you all today is a grounding activity. And the grounding activity is something that you could also do with your kids. So I'm kind of sharing these techniques twofold. So some we could use it as parents, and then we can also teach it to our children to use. And sometimes we get very overwhelmed with, deadlines where, we feel like if I heard some of you all spoke before about having plenty to do in a day and not feeling like if you're doing enough in terms of schoolwork with the kids and so on. And grounding helps us bring your attention to the present moments, right? And one of the best ways to do this is to do it through your 5 senses, using touch, smell, hearing, tasting, seeing, right? So you're using your 5 senses in the present moments to bring you back and to ground you in that particular moment, And some of the questions that you could ask yourself or your kids is, what are 5 things that you see in the room? So you're using sight, What are 4 things that you feel, actually feel at this present moment? Like, sometimes you have a scrunchie around your wrist. So like right now I'm sitting on the chair and I'm actually feeling my back on the back of the chair. So what are things that you actually feel right now? Not the emotion feeling, but the actual touch, what is around you, what 3 things do you hear, inside or outside the room? Is it that you're hearing birds chirping, or a car passing, or, the breeze blowing, or something rattling on the window, or whatever the case is? What are 2 things that you smell? And what is 1 thing that you taste, So you're practicing this technique to kind of bring yourself back to the moment, to the here and now. Is good at being mindful, and is a good practice sometimes when it is that we have those overwhelmed feelings, those anxious feelings, where it is we feel that we're doing everything. And this grounded technique really helps us to bring us back to the here and now, and to center us a little bit. And is a good technique, and I use this often with my kids that I do therapy with, and it's really helpful for them. So a fun activity that I want to share with you all today too is called the family coping box, right? And is a really nice exercise that you could do as a family. So we decorate a box or a jar or whatever it is that you want to use. And each member of that family, put little things in the box that helps with stress. So for children, if it is a stuffed animal, if it is for parents or mummies, is a candle or lotion. If you want to print a couple deep breathing exercises from online and throw it in there, a favorite snack, Play-Doh, wheat stitches, whatever, the list goes on, and it will be for your family to decide what we could put in that box, so that if it is that we feeling stressed out today, that we could go to that family box and pull out a couple things, or each family member pull out something that will really help them de-stress in that moment. So for kids, if it is that they're really stressed out, maybe everybody could just pull that favorite snack and just mindfully eat it. If it's a chocolate chip cookie, you're thinking of the taste, the textures, the sweetness of the chocolate, the texture, the crunchiness of it. So you're pulling something out of the stress box and your family box, coping box, and you're kind of using it to help, ground the family or ground members of the family that day that might be feeling particularly stressed out. So it's a good little tool, a family toolkit for everybody to use sometimes when it is the stressors come up. Yeah? Y'all think y'all will use that?
Yeah, that's a good idea. Like that.
Okay, cool.
Hi.
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 Hi, yeah.
I'll just log into the next meeting. At another meeting that
Okay. All right, cool. So we continuing, right? So one of the things that we want to look at also, and what really helps our kids and even us, is to remember gratitude, and gratitude is a big one because, when we teach gratitude to our kids, then it really helps them with generosity, with being, more open, more optimistic, and just have them appreciate the things that they have in their day-to-day lives. And sometimes we too need to remind ourselves of the things that we want, that we have, instead of what we don't have. So yes, we don't have some of our freedom right now. We would, I would love to just lay on a beach right now, but that's not possible. But there are things that I am grateful for, that we are grateful for, and that we need to remind ourselves of that during these trying times, especially, and so some of the ways we could practice this as a family, or sometimes you yourself could practice it, is, at the dinner table, or, at least one meal a day, everybody kind of go around and share, what am I grateful for today? Kids, adults, everybody. And sometimes kids come up with really interesting, things that they're grateful for. I remember a time my son, he was just just grateful for going outside and looking at a grasshopper that was on the tree, and there's a simple thing sometimes that, that we take for granted that we really could be grateful for, Then as a family, we could do the positivity jar, a box where we decorate a box or a jar. And, we put we write positive things about each member of the family, maybe 5 things. And so when things get stressful, or when we, or even at those meal times or whatever, you could decide, when you're feeling down, that you go into your jar or your box and you read some of the things that other family members wrote, and why they are grateful for you. And positive affirmations are a big thing, and it really helps with changing your mind, your your thoughts, your cognitions about, because once you're able to change or to channel positivity through your thoughts, it does come across in your behavior. And so positive affirmations really help. And sometimes, especially those days when it gets stressful, we want to remind ourselves, I'll be okay. This too shall pass. This too shall pass. This too shall pass. Right? And with change comes opportunity. And put them on the walls of the house if you want, or let you sit with your children and create posters and put them up, so that the positive affirmations are there all around us sometimes when it is we really need it. And I do that in my office a lot. I have, I actually have some on the wall here now, actually. I have laugh out loud, live with passion. So, you kind of just having the affirmations around you. And then personally, for us who day to day, our own moms and some dads who are out there, having that gratitude journal for ourselves sometimes really helps, journaling, having that gratitude journal, just writing out our thoughts, our feelings, what we're grateful for. Actually, that whole pen on paper and writing it out process is really sometimes healing for us, or it could be a real stress reliever for us to kind of just find a way to get it out, So journaling sometimes, gratitude and that kind of thing. Looking at the chat here because you see, right? Okay, somebody said they start affirmations with their kids, yeah. So doing the affirmations with your kids every day, or even putting it up so that they too can pass and see it on the wall somewhere. Our fridge is one of the places where many things go on, so you could stick it up on the fridge somewhere, So that those are some of the things that you could do daily that really helps, and uplifts the mood. Yeah. So
yeah, good points.
So some of the things that I want to say that is okay with, and I think that these are big ones that we need to look at. It's okay to ask your family for time to de-stress, because I think each family member in their own way would need time to de-stress at some point, and understanding that, today is not going to go how you want it to. You may need just, an hour to yourself to de-stress, or even to rest, or, whatever the case is. That I don't want any of us here to feel bad to ask our family for a little time, because you need a little time to de-stress. It's really important, and it's really important to communicate that clearly to the persons in your household, to the kids, whatever the case is. And some of us may not have the opportunity to have somebody else watch the kids while we de-stress. Listen, in that moment, I am saying it's okay to use a little screen time, or even an extra little screen time, and get your little few minutes to de-stress, right? It's not something you're going to do every day, but in this moment, you may need to use that screen to, to find a moment to just de-stress for a little 20 minutes or whatever the case is, right? So reach out and ask for that support from your family, And, it's okay sometimes, Nicole, that, we don't appear to be as productive today. Sometimes, and I hear the psychologist telling you that I don't have it together every day either, right? So some days we're not as productive as we would like to be, or maybe the plan didn't go how we wanted it to go, and that's okay, So it ended up being a day that, Corey have a deadline, I have a deadline, we just don't have the time to sit as we want, with our son to go through the work or whatever the case is, and we just decide, what, he's gonna play ABC Mouse, or he's gonna go online and do ABC Mouse for a little bit, or or we would play, math DVDs, or he would watch alpha number blocks on YouTube. That's how the cookie crumbles that day, and you just roll with the punches. It's also okay for your family to have slower days. It's not every day that we could go at this pace, and we could get everything done. And one of the things that I've learned about homeschooling, and I want to kind of share it with everybody, is that, the flexibility it provides, it really provides you going at your own pace. So, for the last couple of weeks, our curriculum, we've actually been for a little more. So, some weeks we get it done, within the week, and some weeks it stretches out to 2 weeks, and we don't feel bad about it, because we also have work commitments, we have life commitments, we have, a baby in the house. So it's just okay. It's okay, that some days gonna be slower than others, and it's okay sometimes to change the routine to accommodate obstacles, right? We all have work deadlines, we have things that come up, the number of things that sometimes is pop up in a day is be mind blowing. Sometimes, you know, a particular week is just be, you know, I'll be there like, what going on this week, boy, or what going on today, you know. And so we had to change the routine. We had to, you know, be flexible in our approach to working with our kids, to working with ourselves, and we need to understand that, you know. And as I say, it's okay for your kid to have extra screen time that one day or that 2 days or whatever the case is. Once, you know, you're on a daily basis or on a day-to-day basis that you're managing it well, then one day that you need to rely on it, or a couple of days you need to rely on it, I say don't feel bad about it. You know, it's the reality of the time that we're living in, and it's not as simple as to say, you know, go outside and play, or, you know, go with your friend or whatever the case is. That's actually not, we don't have that right now. So we gotta rely on the screen a little more, you know. And some days that's okay. And we have to remember that not to feel too bad about it, you know. It's okay for your child to play and have fun. And, you know, sometimes while we're in the middle of chores or whatever the case is, you know, you find your kids like I have cars as the picture on this slide because my son is always playing with a car somewhere. And sometimes he gets so lost in playing with the cars that it's really hard to pull him away, because he have like this whole game structured, you know, with all the different things the cars doing or whatever the case is, and that's okay, right? Sometimes we leave him to get lost in the cars, even though we have other things that we have to finish that day. But at that moment in time, you know, the structured activity or the play that he's doing, or the imaginative play that he's doing is priceless, you know. And so sometimes we have to allow our children to play, you know, and it's okay, guys, to be flexible, right? Not understand that not everything will go to plan, and that's okay, you know, and that, you know, we will have to try our best to prioritize and to see what we're doing on a daily basis, but to understand that we can't do it all in one day. And sometimes we just need to leave things, and that's just the reality of it. You know, so we need to leave the wares on the drain board. You know, we need to full up the laundry. We can full it up tomorrow. I know laundry is a big one for plenty of people that is just stay there sometimes 2 weeks, but you'll get it, right? But we can't do it all. And so we have to prioritize, you know. So if it is that, you know, I need to prioritize, you know, playing that bowling game with my son, you know, for that half an hour that I have instead of folding the laundry, you know, I'll do that, and the laundry will get full the next day. But that time, or you know, that time of the physical activity and the family time, or that time that he wants, another time he will be lost in playing with the cars or whatever the case is, and won't have me to take on, and I could fold the laundry. So you know, that flexibility and understanding that is okay to do some of these things. Did I hit some nails, guys? Let me hear y'all. Did I hit some nails here? With this being,
I think so. For me, because I think sometimes my personality could be inflexible, especially, you know, when you have deadlines. I think what I'm learning, because I lecture, there's standard times for doing certain things, you know. And so just today I was thinking, you know, something, when I have exams and grades due, right. Yeah. I probably need to just give the children those 2 weeks off, let them read and have other activities, educational, you know, and then that I can get that 2 weeks somewhere else. Whether we are flexible. So next year, God's willing, next academic year, it's something I'm going to experiment with. You know, take 2 weeks of the so-called July-August vacation. We probably will continue at school, but when I have exams, you know, earlier on in term, they can have that free time. So I won't be trying to do all of these things at the same time, and to just prioritize what deadlines, because not all deadlines, you know, need to be met at the same time. So just try to be able to do that.
Yeah. And that's one of the beauties of homeschooling, that we have the flexibility to do that. We have the flexibility to, you know, schedule things a little differently, because like for us, when we first started homeschooling, we really didn't like the lull of the July-August vacation. So we don't actually have July-August vacation in our house. You know, we will continue doing stuff, but we probably will do it at a slower pace, you know, and adding some fun activities. But definitely we have a routine in our house where it is, you know, on the mornings, my son knows that, you know, after bath and breakfast is he has like his writing or whatever the case is to do, and so we'll continue that, you know, even if it is we mix it up, whatever the case is. But you know, you get to decide your structure, you know, understanding that some days going to be a little different than others. And I think that we really need to recognize that, folks. We need to recognize the limits, and we understand that we're flexible and we could change things accordingly, and we don't have to stick to this particular script, you know, all the time. That, you know, sometimes if you're doing something constructive, I'm happy, right? You know, and these days is sometimes he's always, I you know, I'm really grateful that we were able to instill the reading. So he's always reading now. And sometimes, you know, like this morning, I was like hustling him to say, and you know, it's time to bathe. And then my husband said, you know, but he reading, you know, and so I had to check myself and say, okay, he reading, just give him the time to read. He will get in the bathroom, you know. Sometimes it's just the little things and the little moments that we need to be flexible in our daily lives with. Yeah. So in working with our children, right, we recognize that our children have stress and anxiety too, coming out of this pandemic. Definitely all of us going through the same process and having challenges, you know. And for us, and I think it's important for us to be positive and to use positive parenting. And sometimes it's really difficult for us because we feel stressed, we feel anxious, you know. And so it's important for us to kind of, you know, reach out to each other and figure out different strategies. And I think that's why, you know, having this association or being involved in the groups are so important, you know. So yes, Fiona, I do read. I do read the group messages. And, you know, I do input sometimes, but normally Corey covers most of the basis of the challenges we have been going through as a family, you know. And so sometimes we just have to redirect that bad behavior, you know, and we have to understand that the children, you know, they're bored of being inside. You know, we've totally changed things. Like for us, we're a very extroverted family. We would have gone out, you know, on weekends. We would have always done things, go to the zoo, the park, you know, the library, you know, little things, the petting zoo, take a drive down Chagaramas, the beach. Like we always find fun things to do. And like ever since we started homeschooling, we make sure to have the experiential learning there for our sons. So the fire station, you know, all of these places that we would go to. And now we're basically inside. And the last couple of months has been very, very tough on us because my son would still go outside and interact because we live on a compound with some of the kids on the compound, but with everything getting so serious as it did, even though he was wearing a mask, we decided for him to stay in, to not interact with the other children on the compound as much. So it's been extremely difficult. And so we have to expect that there will be acting out behavior, that there will be, you know, times where it is, you know, even though he's almost 6, that we get him crying like a baby, or, you know, or just those difficult moments, right? And in those difficult moments when it is, you know, the kids are acting out or whatever the case is, we recognize that they, you know, that they're bored of inside, that they're anxious, that they're feeling all the things that we feel, and they're stressed about, you know, not being able to go anywhere. You know, we try to find something new to keep them engaged, you know. So I go back to our bowling game, or even, you know, going outside and sweep up or planting stuff outside, you know, change up the routine, you know, taking a walk, you know, just, I don't know, find some way that you could change your routine a little bit, change up, you know, find something else to keep them engaged. So my son too, he loves to bake in the kitchen with me or make pizza. So we'll make pizza, you know, and just change the routine a little bit, you know, and find something new and interesting to engage him with, you know, and even ask them what they might want to do, you know. So our kids have their own ideas about all the things that they want to do, and sometimes it's important to ask them and to chat with them and to engage them, you know, understanding that they too are little people and they have their own ideas, and we want to try to see how best that we could listen to them and facilitate them, and work together as a family during these times when it becomes so challenging. We want to reinforce good behavior when it is we are at home, with our kids. We want to provide praise, you know, especially when it is they behave well. When we praise good behavior, guys, those behaviors are likely to happen more often, right? So we want to make sure that we look for the little things that they do well, you know. You remember to brush your teeth today, this morning without me having to remind you, you know, you have put clothes in the washing machine. I don't know, like little things, you know, you have, like my son will help with his baby sister sometimes to entertain her when she cranky, you know, just, you know, praise them, and verbal praise is important. You know, it goes a long way in helping our kids, you know, with their self-esteem, but helping them recognize that they do well. And yes, it's okay to you use rewards, privileges, also to reward behavior during stressful times. So like if in our house, when it is we my son does a particularly good week or whatever the case is, we have movie night with popcorn, or whatever the case is, like you find your little ways that you could reward or really reinforce those good behaviors and praise them with your children, because that goes a very, very long way, you know. Sometimes too is you have to know when to respond, and you know, sometimes is not always, you know, sometimes we could ignore a particularly negative behavior, but if it becomes harmful or dangerous, we want to make sure to put a stop to it. So, you know, it's important to also kind of respond, and knowing when to respond, and knowing our kids, and knowing, you know, how dangerous or how negative something could be, or if it is that, you know, is a behavior that maybe we could ignore, maybe we could let slide, you know, and as parents, we have to make that judgment call sometimes to know how serious we really want to treat with this particular thing today, especially when we're stressed out and we have that deadline, you know. So today I might just say, okay, you know what, you want to play with the cars, just play with the cars, you know. So you have to kind of figure out what, you know, what works for you, what works for the kids, how dangerous the activity is at that particular point in time, if we want to ignore the behavior, if we want to let it slide, right? Focus on creative, you know, activities and active activities for our children, you know. So, you know, build an obstacle course at home, in your house, and have them go through it, you know, as a go back to my bowling game again, you know, like figure out interesting and fun ways to be active and creative with your kids, you know. One of the things I always do too is try to be creative in making cards for different occasions, you know, or whatever, however you want to be creative in your own little way, and help the kids be active and just, you know, change things up for them to be able to cope and work with that stress. Yeah. So lastly, we want to look at positive discipline, right? In positive discipline, right, we want to be able, firstly, to be a good role model for our kids, right? And that's why I initially said it was very important for us to, you know, self-care and to show stress management, because if we're not doing it well, then we can't expect our children to do it well, because they are modeling our behavior, especially in these times when they ain't got nobody else to model it from, right? Just us, right? At home with them all the time. So to be a good model and to role model, and to really show them, you know, the right way, or you know, the ways that, you know, the healthy ways. So I don't even want to say the right way, but the healthy ways to kind of cope, because, you know, if we are unhealthy in our coping strategies, then they are going to be unhealthy too, and that's where you're going to get some of the acting out behaviors. So you want to practice, you know, and sometimes even when we don't do so well, you know, it's okay as parents to apologize and say, you know, I didn't do so good today, and I'm sorry. You know, and that's something that we forget to do, or we feel as parents that we shouldn't have to do, especially our West Indian parenting, right? So we want to, you know, tell our kids, you know, we're sorry that we didn't do so good today, and we will try again the next day. You know, be consistent. You know, consistency is the key. And as I say, sometimes if the routines, we have our basic routine structures, you know, making sure that people on the household on the same page, those kinds of things, because, you know, our kids sometimes can play one parent against each other, one parent against another. So we want to make sure that we're consistent in everything that we do as a family, as parents, in our structures and routines, we just want to be consistent so our kids know what's coming next, Sometimes we need to be calm and brief in terms of just if it is that we need to talk to them or to scold them or to pull them up on a particular behavior that wasn't so good, we want to give a whole long lecture till thy kingdom come about everything, dealing with the subject, just be calm, take a breath and just deal with the situation, be brief, say that wasn't cool, whatever the case is, the behavior wasn't cool. I didn't really appreciate you throwing that toy across the room. And you need to pick it up and say you're sorry, and not no whole lecture about, all the times before that they throw the toy or whatever the case is, right? And be quick to give consequences. We don't want too much time to pass between a child doing something and then a consequence to be given, because then the consequences loses its hold on the particular thing that the child would have done. So you want to be able to, if it is the child does something that is not cool, that you need to pull them up on, and you need to give a consequence, you need to say, immediately that, they do something now and tonight you're not going to get any TV time. One time. You don't want to wait till tomorrow to say, well, that thing that you do yesterday, when you throw the toy yesterday, you ain't getting no TV today. And almost a whole day pass, right? Because then it loses its effect, right? So we want to make sure that consequences come, and fit in for whatever the child do, in a quick time frame, so that they get that if they do this particular behavior again, that is, that there will be consequences pretty quickly. Pick your battles, right? So sometimes you just need to let it go, right? Walk away, take a breath, so not everything or every action or behavior, or every single, little thing that the child does sometimes that we need to pick it up, and sometimes you just need to breathe and let it go. So picking your battles as parents is one of the major things that we need to do on a day-to-day basis, And sometimes, we could tag team as parents. So, today you're saying, I am going down the road with this battle. Maybe the husband will, right? Or maybe he say not today, maybe you will. You pick your battles as parents, right? Be realistic. We have to be really realistic in our expectations of our kids, and also, our expectations of ourselves, and not give them tasks that are too high or too much for them to handle, And we also want to catch our children being good, because when we catch them being good, then it's really helpful. What it is, we reinforce and give that positive affirmation, praise, reward, or whatever the case is, that they continue in that behavior, because you really made a big deal out of it. And as humans, we tend to very much focus on negativity and negative behavior, and we need to put that particular energy into when they behave well. So when they behave well, you make a big deal and you put a lot of energy into it, so that when the negative thing happens, you don't put as much energy and investment into the negativity, so that they really realize that when they behave well and you catch them behaving well, and you tell them and you praise them, that goes a long way. And it really adds to the positivity and them being more positive and behaving better, And guys, we can't tell you enough, but to remind your kids that you love them every day, especially as, in this pandemic, when times could get challenging, they just need a hug, a kiss, just a reminder, and do an activity with them, whatever the case is, that you love them and you appreciate them, and that you really, you're there for them as their parents. So this is the end of my little tips and guides through managing through this pandemic with our kids. So I invite you all, if you all have any questions or comments or anything that you wanna, discuss at this point, feel free to do so. But thanks a lot for your time today, and I hope that these tips was helpful to everybody, and that you were able to use some of them. Any feedback with your thoughts, any techniques that you think you'll be trying? Okay. So I see Nicole said I was so very helpful. Anybody else?
Yeah, hi Jenna. I want to say thanks as well. I think I really liked how you put the presentation together. You know, some of these tips and we would have known. I'm sure many of us would have heard some of them, but I really like how everything came together, a nice framework in terms of, you know, as the that is nodding, in terms of as the parent, caring for yourself, caring for the child, and then positive parenting during a time that is a very negative time, you know. So for me, I will go back and you know, be more mindful and be more purposeful and more strategic about how I implement some of what you've said and how I tweak the things that I'm already doing so that they can really have that maximum benefit, you know? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So some of the comments were thank you for the tips, very informative. Somebody said, Michelle said that they would be trying praising when they do a good job. Good reminders. And sometimes we need the reminders, guys, because sometimes we forget, or sometimes we, you know, we get taken up in life and just, you know, it there at the back of your mind, but then maybe a professional comes on and tell you need to do it. And you say, okay, all right, you know, the psychologist said so. So let me try, you know.
Good evening, everyone.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. My name is Nicole. All right, thank you. Really, really appreciate what you shared, Jenna. This is excellent in so many ways, but I do have a question. Is it okay if I can ask a question?
Sure.
All right, great. I wanted to find out from you, what are some of the guidelines you would have for parents to observe or to discern when a behavior has moved to that dangerous stage? So, you know, where it's at that place where you're thinking, you know, this is not normal anymore, or this is, or it's a little too much. So what are some of the guidelines you would give parents? Because it is a difficult time for children. And speaking with parents, sometimes I'm not always, of course, you can see clearly dangerous behavior in a child or something that's just overboard. But how do you know when it's actually getting to that stage? What are some of the guidelines?
Well, what I would say that's definitely, if it is, definitely when it is the behavior is causing harm to self or harm to others, or bordering on harming self or bordering on harming others, then it's getting a bit excessive and dangerous, and we probably need to seek further assistance. Additionally, if it is the child's behavior is impairing or impairing normal functioning. So if it is that, you know, they're supposed to, you know, or can do particular activities, and there is so much regression in the behavior, or so much behavioral issues that they cannot complete their activities or cannot complete the task that they're supposed to do on a day-to-day basis, and you find that that's going on maybe for a few days, that maybe running into a week or 2 weeks or whatever the case is, then that behavior is becoming pretty dangerous for the child, because it means that they're unable to function, they're unable to complete the daily tasks, they're unable to do their chores, their activities, whatever the case is, interact, whatever, then that behavior is becoming dangerous. And additionally, if it is your child starts to become extremely withdrawn, or, you know, sleeping too much, eating excessively or not eating enough, all of those are indicators that you want to mark off as being, once sleeping, eating, and daily functioning is affected, and the child is moving further and further away from daily functioning when it comes to sleeping, eating, daily activities, then you're definitely bordering on dangerous behavior, and you probably need to seek more assistance, because that may be a sign of further issues with the child, or mental health issues, you know, such as depression and different things like that. So definitely those would be indicators of dangerous behavior. So I hope that was helpful.
Very. Thanks so much.
Sure.
Thank you. Yes.
So I see a question here, Jenna. What methods can be used to boost child's interest? Well, what do you mean by boost their interest? Because I think that talking to your kids about things that they might be interested in, you would be able to or observe in their play. So things that they would be interested in play. Okay, so especially teenagers. But definitely with teenagers, we need to chat with them. We need to talk to them. We need to find out what kinds of things they might be interested in. As mommies, sometimes we maybe, I don't want to say, I want to use the term nosy and not invading privacy, because that's two completely different things. But sometimes we need to be a little nosy and see what they're up to. And talk to them and ask them, or even offer a variety of different things, So some of the girls that I work with, sometimes I would offer different activities to them to do. Sometimes maybe arts and crafts, or take a walk outside, or with teenage girls, they have to kind of ask, talk, communicate. And if you're not getting through in that respect, just try different things. Try, doing an activity, saying, let's go for a walk. Maybe even saying, come help me with, I have some seasoning to plant, or whatever the case is. Like, just try different techniques and talk to them and see, how best that you will be able to maybe get what they might be interested in. Okay.
So I wanted to jump in and just endorse just a whole lot of what Jenna said. Jenna very well presented, a lot of helpful information in there. Being a parent kind of on the other end of the spectrum with teenagers and even adult children, I can vouch to say that many of these tips and techniques and approaches work. To speak to, let's say, like the questions that have just come up about how do we engage the children, raise their interest, especially teenagers. As Jenna just said, we need to talk to them. And sometimes what we hear is not what is comfortable for us. And so we tune it out because we're listening until we hear what we want to hear. So to give an example of like my children. So we want to do fun things and interact and all of that. So I go to my go-to, well, let's play cards or some board games, and they would do that, but I have to listen. What are they engaged in? And they're engaged in all these online games, Jackbox, or I can't remember the right names, but they're teenagers and young adults. And I hate playing video games. However, they love it. So there's me, coming last or second to last every time, because I want to engage my children. I'm competitive as well, so that's really hard for me to be conceding to come last. But you do what they enjoy, not just what we enjoy. I think all of my children are creative, but in various ways. And one particular son, he just said, "Mommy, would you come and create with me?" And I really wasn't feeling like it, but it wasn't the first time he had asked. And so I dusted the dust off of my sketch pad and pulled out some charcoals, because that's the quickest thing that you could throw something together with, at least from my perspective. And we did art together, and that meant a lot to him. I was looking to see where the piece was so I could flash it and show off, but it's not in my office. So yes, so get down at their level. So I'm telling you, that's the level of teenagers. Children, younger children will want to do other things. So get down at their level and enjoy what they enjoy. And as you enjoy what they enjoy, you build a connection with them. And then when you want to get that spark of interest into their schoolwork, you link it in. So I had a dyslexic son. He loved birds. He loved mud, bugs. And so we spent time doing that. And so when it was time to teach him to read, you chose the books that would have given him more information on his creatures. So he's interested in getting the information. But I was not a bug person. I was a person who would run in the other direction. Now, like, if there's a snake in the yard, they call me. I don't know what they want me to do, but I get called because apparently I am not afraid of snakes. But that's just the link that we have. And so if I had to read, his reading books was not Boyo and Carla. His reading books were birding books and books on dinosaurs. And so that's how I got him interested. A classic dyslexic child who, has all kind of issues beyond just dyslexia. I got him interested in wanting to read through doing things like that. To talk about catching them doing good, we actually, during the course of our parenting journey, came across a program called Accountable Kids, and that was one of the things they encouraged us to do. And we had great fun with it. We were actually, in our weekly family meetings, each family member had to try and catch somebody doing something good. And so you'd out them, but you outed them in this kind of fun way. So is there anything you want to share about this week? Well, I have to talk about Joshua. And you put your face serious and set. He's always doing this, mommy. And it's so, I see him every day and he cannot deny it. He helps me make up my bed, And so it's like, oh, and everybody, hooray, Joshua, clap. And so when you praise positive behavior, you get more of what you give great attention to. So I'm not saying don't correct your kids. I'm one for correcting your children, training them in the way that you want them to go. But if you catch them doing good and you praise them and you make it something that they look forward to, you see a light in their eyes, you see something in them turn on, then they'll just do more of it to get more of it. And I'll stop there for others to speak. But there's so much that Jenna said that I can say, yes, it really works. So if you could just take two things from what Jenna said that is applicable to your family. I can tell you can't do all at the same time, but just take two and work on two. The YouTube video will be on and you can revisit after those two have become habits in your household. And then you can add another one and you can add another one. Remember what she said? Be gentle on yourself. Take a break. You can't do everything at the same time, but you could certainly do one or two.
Anyone else has a question or a comment? Jenna, I saw Lenora was asking in terms of,
she direct messaged me. Yeah, she messaged me.
Okay, wonderful. Good.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah. And so, guys, you could also use some of the techniques, as Bernadette said, a little at a time. If you choose two, or you decide this week we just, we're focusing on mindful eating. Next week we're going to try the, family coping box. You could just, you don't have to do everything, because I certainly don't do everything. I take it bit by bit, and as things come up sometimes and we need to, access a tool, we use it, and some things kind of, naturally in our family, like, spending some time outside and going for a walk and gardening, have become parts of our household activities. But then, sometimes you may need to call on something else, so make it your own and make it part of your own family. One last thing I kind of want to mention too is that our space is very much set up to be comfortable, and so is not a designer's dream. Is comfortable and what is needed for our household at this point in time. And so our fridge is like, where all the, the art and the creative, or right now we have like phone numbers up on a whiteboard on the fridge, because we would remembering phone numbers and doing phone calls, for the last couple of weeks. Like, you make your space your own, and what you need it to be. And that's really important, especially during this COVID time, because, you may feel that, it needs to be looking this particular way. Like right now, nobody's coming in my house, and I'm making it as comfortable as I can for everybody, to get the most out of it, because I need space to work. My son needs space to do his schoolwork, and then we very much activities based in our house. So he needs space to do his experiments, and then my husband needs a space for work. He doesn't like my space because the AC is blow straight and he's not about that. So everybody needs their own little niche, their own little corner, their space. However you set up your household, that's how you choose to, to be comfortable. So that's the last thing that I want to leave with you all today. So if anybody have any more questions or comments or anything they want to discuss, I think we need to wrap up there because I need to get going.
Yeah, now is a critical time, hungry people. So we really want to thank, if no one has any questions or comments, really want to thank Jenna for just taking the time to put together a really good presentation. And I felt so enriched, I'm thinking, oh my goodness, we need to do this to like parents who are not homeschooling. I need to calm myself and think about it and talk to Jenna and Bernadette and see. But I think the tips are just indispensable. I think it's not, I think many people need to hear, because I really like the way that you put them together, Jenna, and wrapped up with positive parenting again at a time when people are so challenged. I think Nicole has a question. Go ahead, Nicole.
Not a question. Good evening, everyone.
Comment? Sure, go ahead.
I just wanted to say thank you to everyone. Especially to Jenna, Bernadette, Fiona, you all were very encouraging. Some of the points that were spoken about, the parent being enough. I mean, I am one who is always afraid at times. Sometimes I feel I am not enough. So it was so good and comforting to hear Bernadette say that you are enough. Even the reminders that Jenna gave, it was really things that I personally needed to hear and to be reminded of, to be able to go forward in this journey, because it's my first year. I completed my first homeschool year this year and still having those butterflies and fright. So it was really appreciative. Thank you all very much.
You're so welcome. You're so welcome, Nicole. And we will continue to, this was a tough term for me. So we weren't able to have as many of these as I would have liked to. But I'm so grateful that we were able to have this particular session. I think it was a very timely session, and even as we think about moving forward in all of our homeschooling journeys, and seeing how we can connect some more and to encourage each other more and get to be more familiar with each other, whether we have like something lighter, meet and greet, and we just get to know each other better. So we can probably look forward to some of those as well. So I want to wish everyone a good evening. Again, Jenna, thank you very much. Thank Baby, thank Corey, right? For releasing you to be able to do this, because I didn't hear any crying or anything. I had children, walking. I sent them out to do their walk, walk time.
I just have to do therapy, so we had to figure out this thing.
True.
So we figure it out.
True, very true, So thanks everyone. And so look out, we definitely will over the next couple of months have some more activities, online activities, even as we prepare for, moving towards September and how we can prepare ourselves for the unpredictable, okay, together. All right, so thanks everyone and have a good evening.
Yeah, bye everybody. Have a good evening.
Okay, bye, same to you.
Bye-bye.
Good night, everyone.
Have a good evening.
Have a
bye.
blessed